Desde las sombras de Palacio Nacional.
Down to the muddy trenches of politics, this is La Posilga, the pigsty of politics.
Concha Marrano. Welcome to another episode of this filthy corner called La Posilga, the pigsty of politics, where the truth stinks, but not as much as a congressman in a permanent session. I'm your host, the one who always has an uncomfortable fact and an ulcer ready to burst, Luis Berman. And today I'm here to remind you that if politics were a sport, Mexico would be the world champion of diving into septic tanks. We're going to look at several topics, among them that the preliminaries for the review of the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement have begun, that the Zocalo once again becomes a summer camp for the people. We'll take a look at the lowlands of Tabasco, where what we saw isn't rainwater. It's pure negligence, refined 100%. And we're also going to talk about how sovereignty, which they bray about so much, in the morning press conferences, it went for a spin around Washington and came back smelling like hamburgers and fear. Let's begin. First, let's take a look at the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement 2026. It could very well be called musical chairs, but electric ones. The review of what's left of the free trade agreement has begun in Washington. Our brand new Secretary of Economy, the jack-of-all-trades Marcelo Ebrard, is going around smiling and waving while trying to convince the Americans not to impose tariffs on us, even for breathing. Presa Chachi said in her morning address that the priority is the tariff. Zero tenderness. It's like asking the wolf to guard the henhouse without getting tempted to take a bite. The problem is that on the other side, they don't exactly have Mother Teresa. The technical committees are basically a commercial Gestapo interrogation. The automotive and steel sectors are in the spotlight. And while here we swear that integration makes us strong, over there they see us as the backyard they forgot to mow. The Trump factor is still floating in the air like intestinal gas in an elevator. No one knows when it's going to explode, but we all know it's going to smell terrible. Energy sovereignty, self-sufficiency, nice words for speeches. In reality, if Washington catches a cold, we get triple pneumonia. And the fact is, the war in Iran is no small matter. We have to pay close attention to how that conflict develops. Ebrard is dancing the Jarabe Tapatio on a tightrope, trying to keep the border from being closed to the trucks made in the Bajío. Meanwhile, here we keep debating whether the gasoline subsidy applies or not. What is a fact is that Mr. Trump has a firm grip on the handle of that pan, and he will put on the pressure however he wants and however it best suits his interests. Of course, so I can already predict that this issue is going to give them a rash in the behind in the National Palace. Now let's go to the Paso de la Democracia Hotel. Once again, the Coordinadora Nacional de Trabajadores de la Educación is holding the line, while in the north they're testing our limits. In the heart of Mexico City, we have our own mud festival. The Coordinadora Nacional de Trabajadores de la Educación is back. What a surprise, it's like that awkward relative who shows up at Christmas, eats all the turkey, argues with Grandpa, and sleeps on the couch. For 3 months. They've declared a 72-hour strike. What a sacrifice, 3 days without teaching classes. The Zocalo already looks like a Lagunilla street market. With revolutionary pretensions, they're demanding better salaries and the repeal of laws. By the way, during her campaign, Chachi's promised she was going to get rid of them. That's why these guys aren't letting up at all. She either delivers or she delivers. But the most shameless part of the whole thing is the threat. They say that if their whims aren't accepted, they're going to sabotage the logistics of the 2026 World Cup. It's the same old blackmail, funded with your taxes and mine. Meanwhile, children in rural communities are still learning to read with soda labels because their teachers are busy setting up Coleman brand tents in the city center. On the other hand, we have Pemex and the oil spill, or in other words, it wasn't me, it was TT. A massive spill was detected off the coasts of Veracruz and Tabasco. And what does our beloved leader say? It wasn't Pemex, it was a ship from a private company. It was probably a luxury yacht that decided to dump its crude oil tank right there to discredit energy sovereignty. Is it the old reliable excuse? Is it always neoliberalism's fault or some invisible entity? Meanwhile, the sea turtles are so covered in tar that they already look like bronze statues from a bygone era. Porphyriana, hey. The important thing is that the narrative doesn't get stained and no one from the fourth transformation gets hurt. And continuing with the topic of oil, we have the Dos Bocas refinery, where reality drowns in oil and lies float. Ah, sovereignty, what a beautiful word, right? It sounds like a national anthem, a waving flag, and well, in this case, it means 5 people dead, and a president who's being taken for a fool in a way that's just too much in sports. It turns out that the Dos Bocas refinery, or Olmeca refinery for those who like fancy names that disguise disasters, had a minor incident. That's what they now call it in the palace script when 5 human beings lose their lives due to criminal negligence. Let's begin with the comedy because without laughter we feel like shutting down the whole country. According to the Tabasco Department of Education, the visionary mayor of Paraíso, Alfonso Baca, said the explosion was caused by a lightning strike. A lightning strike is fascinating. It's like meteorological phenomena during this administration have impeccable political aim. The lightning didn't strike a palm tree. It didn't strike right where the oily waters were overflowing due to lack of maintenance. But, oh, surprise in the real world, that place that officials from the fourth transformation avoid as if it were kryptonite. A video appeared, and in that video that shows us the harsh reality while they tell us Disney stories, it's clear as day. A vehicle is driving in the rain, a spark and boom, a sea of flames, no heavenly lightning, just the result of having hydrocarbons where there should be drainage. In the mentioned video, you can see that the incident happened at the entrance to the customs checkpoint, at a spot near the storage tanks of the petrochemical complex. According to news reports, the fire started outside the facilities, when a private vehicle carrying workers from the company CIPSA was engulfed in flames due to an alleged short circuit. Combined with the presence of fuel and heavy rain, here's the video in question. You be the judge. And this is where my favorite part comes in, national sarcasm. Mrs. Presinepta Claudia Scheinbaum comes out and says, with a confidence that even a surgeon would envy, that the refinery is operating at 100% at 100%. My little piggies, she's probably referring to 100% opacity because while she claims the damage was on the outside, the families of the deceased, 4 of whom were outsiders, because of course statistics hurt less. If they're not on Pemex's payroll, they're left in uncertainty. Who's handing the notes to Presidenta? Who's selling her this solution? Because saying that everything is fine while the state company issues statements at dawn to hide the dead is, to say the least, an insult to our intelligence of those of us who still have a couple of neurons firing. But wait, the joke tells itself. The order from above is for the Attorney General's office to investigate, but based on Pemex's expert report. Great, Pemex is both the judge and the party, investigating itself. It's like asking the wolf to do the expert report on why the sheep disappeared. Come on. Pemex, the same company that tried to hide the tragedy for 6 hours, will be the one to tell us what Pemex did wrong. Surely the conclusion will be that it was Hernan Cortez's fault, or Calderon's, or maybe just neoliberalism in the meantime. They've already given us the explanation that for now the reason was the weather or a conspiracy of Tabasco clouds. And why so much effort to cover the sun with a fingerful of tar? Well, because Dos Bocas isn't just a refinery, it's an enrichment hub. From the original $8 billion, we're already over $21 billion. What great management. It's not like they're refining liquid gold. This is nothing more than a buddy's business, or in other words, a swamp of cash. Here we have the main characters of this financial horror story. Rocio Nale, the governor of Veracruz, who built this monument to inefficiency on a mangrove 3 meters above sea level, a place that floods if someone sneezes hard. The industrialist is Daniel Flores, the financial coordinator of Adán Augusto, who conveniently died in a plane crash after leaving the National Palace. How unlucky are those who know too much about the refinery's money? And as usual, Emil Carolan, the friend of brother Lalo, Andy Lopez Beltran, who bought land at 6 pesos per square meter days before the groundbreaking, when they were worth 1,200 or 200. That's business vision and not nonsense. You can't deny it, my buddies. And now let's move on to the stinkiest topic of the day in the pigsty, the Super Pueblo. They lost the Mandadero de Lujo neighborhood. Turns out our flea market Batman with stubble, the unbreakable security guy, the one and only Omar Garcia Harfouch, that man with the icy stare and the unshakable hairstyle, had to leave in Cheech and took off from the UN. City, city, city. And no, don't think he went shopping at Target or to see the cherry blossoms on the Potomac. This young man wasn't invited to a gala dinner. This young man was summoned. And when the Drug Enforcement Administration and the FBI whistle for you, you don't ask what time, you ask what color they want your knee pads to be. We've been listening to the same broken record for years, about how Mexico is free, how foreign agencies don't call the shots, all that talk about sovereignty. It's a joke that's not even funny anymore, by the way. Cooperation without subordination and all that crap that Shane Boltrufia says every time she opens her mouth. But the truth is that the transformation government focused on blowing up bridges with the American agencies, limiting their operations, as if we were in a 1970s spy movie. But, oh wow, the boogeyman arrived. And the boogeyman has an orange toupee and his name is Donald Trump. It seems that in the National Palace, they forgot that Trump doesn't like protocols or diplomacy, much less speeches about sovereignty. For the tycoon, Mexican cartels are no longer just kids behaving badly, but terrorists. And when Washington puts the label of terrorism on something, get ready, because the next word isn't cooperation, it's intervention. And it's already become clear to us in just 1 year since he returned to the White House. So this inevitably leads us to the secret meeting. Between secrecy and trembling legs, they watched Harfouch's press conference in Washington. No, well, neither did I, because there wasn't one. When these people go to take a picture handing out a chocolate medal, they flood our social media. But when the issue is that they're pulling your ears and putting an ultimatum on the table, then it's total discretion. Harfouch sat down on Monday with Terrence Cole from the Drug Enforcement Administration and yesterday, Wednesday, with the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, Kash Patel, supposedly to talk about security issues. But in a scenario where Mexico no longer sets the agenda, but instead receives it by certified mail and marked as urgent, the big questions in this mess are, what did Omar hand over? What did he negotiate, or what orders was he given? How much room to maneuver does Claudia Sheinbaum's administration have left? When our northern neighbor has already decided that if we don't clean up the yard, they're going to bring in the pressure hose. Meanwhile, in the rest of the continent, security blocks are being formed under Washington's blessing, the famous shield of the Americas, while Mexico is being dealt with separately. It's like when the teacher takes the troublemaking student out of the classroom to talk to him in the hallway. They don't take you out to give you a warning. They take you out to tell you either you fall in line or we'll make you fall in line. As a loving mother would say, nothing stands in the way of the law of the smack. There's a distrust you can smell all the way from here to the Drug Enforcement Administration and FBI headquarters. Washington claims there's no control here, or worse, that there are leaks and protection. Meanwhile, leader Patas Miatas keeps sharing his opinion from his so-called retirement, which is about as much of a retirement as I am a diplomat, creating a double-edged noise, confirming that it gives the Americans goosebumps. Who's in charge here? The president, the guy from Palenque, or the fear that Trump will send drones to the next organized crime party? Call me suspicious, but it seems to me that Omarcito was given an ultimatum. Either you act or we will. We're in the phase of silent pressure. Washington doesn't ask for permission anymore. First they pressure, then they set conditions, and in the end, they act. What? Mexico is now in that dangerous limbo where sovereignty is being traded? For a while, Harfouch didn't go to Washington to coordinate. He went to try to contain a storm that's coming from the north and threatens to sweep everything away. With all the talk about independence and sovereignty from the fourth transformation, there you have it, my little piggies. Just another day in the surreal Mexican Republic, where commerce is a plea, education is a protest, and ecology is an obstacle to the official narrative. And the fire in Dos Bocas is just a tragic reminder. Another tragedy added to those of the Maya train and interoceanic derailments. It's the result of ignoring technical design in favor of electoral design. While the welfare maid celebrates sovereignty on the anniversary of the expropriation, the oil keeps floating and the truth remains buried. Will Claudia keep protecting herself, shield her boss from these criminal negligences, or just keep reading the reports they write for her, the same ones who line their pockets while tragedies keep claiming lives? On the other hand, while you all fight to see who gets the biggest scholarship, the supposed sovereignty of the country is being negotiated in dark offices. In Washington, the die is cast and the submission to Trump's orders can no longer be hidden. We're only 3 months into 2026 and the political scene is burning hotter than a grill ready for Sunday barbecue. What is Mr. Naranja planning for Mexico? Only time will tell. Don't be fooled. Here in the pigsty, the cesspool of politics, we don't sell you shiny trinkets. We show you the dirt just as it is. I'm going to go clean my ears now because listening to so much official crap is making me deaf. Don't forget to keep wallowing in doubt. Question everything, even if they tell you the sun rises in the east. Because in this government they've already issued a decree saying it rises just for well-being. Don't even believe me. Saying goodbye to you from the deepest part of the mud, Louis Berman. See you in the next episode of In Mendicia. You already know, if you want to keep watching how the fourth transformation falls apart, subscribe, hit the bell, and share. The truth hurts, but ignorance feeds me. Goodbye,
This is the pigsty, the pigpen of politics with Chamarano.